when I think of a guy that, you know, men want to be him, women want to be with him, that kind of guy. The guy, in Moneyball, they talked about, hey, he's the type of guy when he comes in. I mean, that's Mike Ferrin. Everybody wants to be like Mike. He's calling the WBC. I turn on Sirius XM channel 89. All I hear is Mike Ferrin. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. The great
Hello, Tony.
Mr. Play-by-Play of the WBC. By the way, over your left shoulder, that's a good-looking guy.
I'm very disappointed that there are no San Jose State baseball pictures of Chris Townsend on the internet. We're going to need to find some to remedy to make that my permanent backdrop for Zoom calls.
How did you find all of that?
Dude, I know how to use the Google machine. I'm not an idiot.
You basically are in the A's offices down in South Florida.
I am. Yeah, I'm here from the remote location of this airport hotel in Miami that also is the A's associate offices, right?
By the way, I got to tell you, you've sounded fabulous.
Thanks.
You guys, the energy, it's electric. They've been just hammering the highlights of you guys. In the earlier games, you and Spilly. It seems like you're having a great time. What's the experience been like for you?
It's really hard to describe. It's been unbelievably cool, and I've got a pretty great job, right? Like I get to cover World Series, I get to cover playoff games. I've been at some of the biggest playoff games in the last decade. I was at Halliday's no hitter, and I've been at, covered the last two World Series in person. I was at Game 7 and 17. Like I've seen some really cool stuff, and this is like nothing I've ever experienced. And a lot of it has to do with the fans. I mean, the fans have been incredible. Especially the fans for the Latin American countries. They just bring a different energy and joy to the ballpark that the players can feel, the broadcasters can feel, and so it's a really special event. I'm sad that this is the end of it tonight, and I'm also sad that we're gonna have to wait another 3 years before the next one. But I'm also excited to see where it goes in 2026 because I feel like probably on the heels of the U.S. winning in 17, that's helped this. But I really do feel like this event is growing.
Hey, can you do me a favor and just move a little bit more to your right?
Sorry, is that better?
Yeah, so we can get a little more of me on there.
Yeah. Let's see if I can do this here. There it goes. Is that better?
Yeah, perfect. I appreciate it.
I feel like somebody's looking over my shoulder.
From an atmosphere standpoint, would you compare this to, let's say, for all the fans who are not there? Has it got like a college football vibe to it, or a college?
No, I think it's bigger than that. I mean, I would say it's more like it's the intensity of the wild card game with the joy of winter ball. I mean, I think that's the kind of the way to describe it, at least in my understanding of what winter ball is. And I've never actually been to a winter ball game, but from what I hear, it's very similar to this, right? The players who have participated in both, who are here, whether they be players on the field or former players who've been through winter ball, say that that's what it feels like. It's drums and songs and chants and a lot of laughing and dancing, and like it's just damned fun, and it's not getting caught up in the wins and losses as much as the incredible nature of the event, and being able to see your favorite team compete, win or lose. So I think that to me has been the thing that I mean, that's kind of the way I would describe it. It's just it's the loudest environments I've ever been in, and I don't know that the loudest moments here in Miami have been louder than, say, like when Alvarez hit the 3-run homer off Alvarado last year in Houston. I mean, Houston gets really loud, but it's been loud like that for 3.5 hours every night. And so that's where that energy and excitement comes from.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to go to Japan twice and play against Japanese teams and the bands that they have. And I've been to an all Japanese game where they got bands in right and left of the Tokyo Dome and the songs and everything. It's just so much fun. You wish everybody would get to experience this. Has this become best case scenario for the WBC, United States up against the Japanese team who's played a lot of baseball together? They're like built for this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely marries about as much star power as you can get. I mean, the Dominican was a pretty loaded team. They didn't make it out of pool play. Venezuela did run, when you count Martin Perez as their starter. They ran 8 former All-Stars out there against the U.S. the other night. So that was pretty star-studded. But this is, I think this is what we want, right? The Japanese players are outside of, Ohtani and Darvish and Lars Nootbaar, who's playing center field for them, the Cardinals outfielder. They're kind of an unknown quantity to a lot of us in the States. We don't stay up to watch NPB games in the middle of the night, and so we don't necessarily get to see these guys. So like last night, it's the first time I saw Roki Sasaki pitch, and seeing it in person was incredible. Matsumoto, who is their other incredible starter, like he was great. Like there's a whole lot of stuff that I think we're getting to see in person or on television or listen to on the radio for the first time. I think that's part of the intrigue with this, but it's a really good Japanese team. So I think that this is about as good a matchup as you can ask for with the US and Japan. And they have three of the 4 championships in this event combined between them. Japan won the last 2 and the US won the last one. So let's get after it.
So I'm not totally up on how you can exactly utilize players. And I know there's kind of rules and, teams only want their pitchers. So is there a possibility? Because I know Darvish is going tonight. You're only going to get him. He's not?
No, they're starting a lefty who is good. I mean, a very good left-hander, but they decided not to start Darvish. I talked to a scout who saw Darvish's last start in the WBC and said, there was a lot of hanging sliders in it. He said it wasn't great. They're starting Shota Imanga, who was one of the 10 best pitchers in Japan last year, but he's a lefty who's been more successful against righties than left-handers, despite the fact that he's mostly a fastball slider. So interesting guy, but somebody that the U.S. hasn't seen before.
That's always smart. I know my gambling guys always like to bet on people that the lineups haven't seen before. So Darvish could come out of the pen. This whole dream scenario where I'm getting at with the Shohei Ohtani versus Mike Trout, it's the Randy Johnson's warming up the bullpen. Madison Bumgarner's warming up the bullpen that we've gotten in the World Series. Would that be allowed, Shohei Ohtani, to come out of the pen late in games, where he's pitched, how he's pitched? I know he, obviously playing in the field, but is that doable? Could we even see that scenario?
Yes. By rule, you absolutely could. So there are required days off based on the number of pitches that you've thrown. And he is considered a healthy and active pitcher, and was last night too. I think it would probably only be for an inning from hearing what the Angels said today, but Ohtani, I think, wants to pitch. And there's a little bit of symbolism in this potentially too. Darvish closed out the 2009 World Baseball Classic. And that was a seminal moment in the childhood of a number of the Japanese players that are 10 to 15 years younger than Darvish, and several of them have said that was kind of their first memory of Darvish, was him closing out the WBC and how much that meant in 2009. So you could see it as a little bit of a passing of the torch if Ohtani comes in to finish it out. So I don't think he'll go very long in this game, but we get the real possibility of seeing Ohtani against Trout, which that's about as good as it gets. We saw Ohtani against Tatis to start the All-Star game a couple years ago, which was much watch. And if you remember, Tatis just missed getting him. I love this idea of games on the line, and Ohtani's got to go through those top 4 guys in the U.S. lineup, which is Betts, Trout, Goldschmidt, Arenado. You've got 5 MVP awards between the top 3 guys in that lineup, and you've got a guy who's twice led the league in home runs, 3 times led it in RBIs, and has 10 Gold Glove awards as the next guy. It'd be amazing.
Hey, I got to say, I know you got a long day ahead of you. I really do appreciate you stopping by. You've got a lot going on there in South Florida. This is going to be a big game. Everybody's looking forward to it. I mean, obviously, we know the ratings abroad, especially in Asia, are through the roof. I'm hoping we get a big number tonight. You're not going up against college basketball. You're just going up locally against NBA and hockey. I hope we get a huge number tonight. It's been a lot of fun. You've done a great job, but I do miss waking up in the morning, and I need you back every day.
I mean, you could just call.
I want to wake
I mean,
up.
just like pick up the phone and call
You
and be
don't
like, "Hey,
answer.
man,
I text you. You don't answer.
what are you talking about? I answer every one of your texts."
As Jeffrey Lunow once said, we're all lower level employees to you.
Wow. You're really gonna compare me to Lunow, huh?
No. Cody and I are low. That's what we call ourselves. Lower level employees.
We have a friend that told us he wanted to get out of management because he wanted to be what was the what was the term? It was an individual contributor. I liked that. I thought that was good. I don't want to be in management anymore. I'm just interested in being an individual contributor. That's a good line. That's a good phrase.
It's a fancy way of saying independent contractor.
Well, no, it's a fancy way of saying I don't want to have to deal with paperwork.
Well, I know it's a big highlight of your career, man. This is awesome. And
being on with you, absolutely, every time. It's one of the highlights of my career.
We can see that
of all the things that's happened to me, it's one of them.
Well, it should be. I mean, when you put on your resume, A's Cast is
A's Cast guest.
It's right up there.
Unpaid, yeah.
But I love the way they've been hammering your highlights on the network. So it's been cool.
Well, they have to. They're contractually obligated. So I made them do that.
You are the best, my friend, and let's talk soon
right.
where we can actually do a little more. But seriously, appreciate you stopping by. I know it's a big day for you.
Anytime.
Take care, buddy.
All right, see you, Tony. See you, Cody.
The great Mike Ferrin calling in from Florida. The play-by-play. That's a big get right there.